They talk more to you other guys than to Thurg. Like,
I look wild-eyed and not really looking at any of them, focusing on the wall behind them and sometimes into what must be my own mind.
Put a leash on this animal of yours, please.
Yes. Thurg.
Yes.
Put the child back, Thurg.
I must go back with the child.
You come in here and you barge in, you kick in the doors, and now you disturb the restful dead.
I go back and I leave them, and I intend to leave this child back, and I don't say anything more because they do not listen.
The guard with the helmet, he goes up to you, Cuts, and he says, that man is not seeing Fletcher, I can tell you that much. Do not bring him to the master.
I understand. He will stay in the back. He will stay with us here.
Oh well.
We shall keep an eye on him. You do not take him into the master's workshop.
Thurg, will you accompany these fine folks here, and we will be right back after we've spoken to the master.
I look at the woman with the crossbow. Does she she's not pointing it at anyone anymore?
She's not directly aiming it at anyone, but she's not fully relaxed either. So it's loaded with a bolt. It is.
Yes, I will stay. I will not go. I will stay.
Good. But you other, go now. Go see Fletcher. Skura, you will accompany them? And he asks the woman with the crossbow. Like, oh, yes, fine. I can make the introductions.
Just before she comes to join us and we start moving in the direction of this Master Fletcher, I shall mutter to my breath to Cuts. These will try and kill us. We will need to strike when they don't expect it.
Well, you will, I'm sure, find the moment for that. But let us try to talk our way out of this, all right? There may be a way to solve this without any blood being spilled.
Now this way. Come, let's get this over with quickly. And when Fletcher speaks, you don't make a scene now, okay? Treat him with respect. He's a dangerous man.
Oh, certainly. Most powerful men are.
Absolutely. So this way, and she points you to the corridor. I will be behind you. Just go ahead here.
And well, Cuts moves ahead then. Margar hopefully following.
And Thurg, do you stick around? You hang with the guards in the guard room?
Yes, I will sit and I will talk to them a bit.
They will actually let you sit at their table. They are not very relaxed, so they will have their weapons at the ready if you choose to do anything, any quick moves or anything.
Yes, I have my weapons sheathed at the moment, and I sit there and I talk to them.
Yeah, then one of them, this bearded man, he's very, very sad still. He has gone back to crying. He sits in a corner just weeping. And the other two are sitting with you. They're not very talkative though, but they mainly just stare at you when you sit there and talk. And
yes.
In this room where you are, there seems to be a metal door that apparently leads to the cells that they keep prisoners in, and there's also a flight of stairs that goes down into another chamber, and you can see the top part of this the room that it goes into, and there are chains hanging from the roof there.
Hello, my name is Thug. What's your name?
The gaunt person with the hood says, "I'm Sotter, and I will make sure that you don't make any funny moves here. And this here is Igorn." And then Igorn, yeah, that's me. The one with his like a metal helmet with a nose guard, and he is trying to stop a nosebleed that he pretty recently got.
Oh, you hit your nose. Why hit your nose? What happened? What happened to your nose? What happened to it?
The same thing will happen to you if you keep asking stupid questions like that.
I can ask intelligent questions. What is... You talk about cells. You have more prisoners. Why do you have prisoners here? Why do you have them? Why?
Well, whoever Master Fletcher deems, not following his rules, or people who come here asking for trouble, they get thrown into the cells.
I don't want trouble. What does Master Fletcher want then? What does he want?
Well, he talks about how to become strong by eating well and by there's power in the in the flesh of your own kind. So if you eat the strong, you will yourself become strong, he says.
Have you eaten the strong?
Oh well, I have tasted the flesh of the average, but soon.
Did it make you average?
No, quiet. No, it's a long process.
Yes, I understand it.
Mainly, we just sit here and we guard this place for any intruders who might come and steal Fletcher's things.
What things does he have?
No, he has many treasures of different kind. Treasures of silver and treasures of treasures of flesh.
So he promised you will be strong by giving you the flesh of the strong. Is that why you follow him?
Oh, he will make sure that we become the best that we can, and he will show us the way.
Yes, you will be strong. You will be strong.
Yes.
It's good.
Exactly. And at the same time, here you can hear the weeping and the crying of this other man.
Why is he so sad?
Oh, I don't know. He just all of a sudden, maybe 3 days ago, he just started crying like this. Like he's for no reason.
Have you seen the end coming? Is that why you're sad?
I don't know. I am sad. And he looks up at you with his like red eyes. Like I don't know. I'm just heartbroken, and everything is. I don't know.
It's all right. Everything will be fine. It will be fine. Don't you understand? It will be fine.
Oh, get a hold of yourself, Brom. You're a guard. You can't just sit here and weep. We'll have to throw you into the dungeon cell.
You must get a hold of yourself. Grom.
I can't.
Do you want to go into the dungeon with me, Grom?
No.
We can look in the dungeon together.
No, I don't want to go anywhere.
We can look at those that have it worse than you, and you understand your place is not so bad.
The others look at you and they think, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea.
You come with me, Grom, and we will look into the dungeon. You can see how sad maybe they are, and you understand you not have such a bad place.
The others, they look at Brom and they look at you and they're like, oh, okay, Brom, get up here. Just have a peek. Just look at them. While this is happening, Cuts and Margar, you are walking down this corridor past the paintings that seem to depict landscapes, pretty bland and bleak landscapes. And behind you is Skura, this guard woman with a crossbow. And you travel the corridor and you end up in a room that has a big pump, like a big rusty pump, shaped almost like a tall cathedral. And the mouth of the pump, or where the water comes, looks almost like a dragon or a basilisk or some kind of lizard being. And this room also has a hatch in the floor, and there's a hole in the wall to the right with a crack in the wall there.
It is the hatch.
Yeah, exactly. That's down there. Just go down there.
And as I move towards the hatch, I try to see if I can peek through that hole in the wall if I see anything, or if it's too far away.
No, you can actually see. Absolutely, you can see it. It opens up into a quite big chamber or a big cave, where the first thing you see is an underground lake, almost like a pool of bubbling, oozing, porridge-like sludge, like an oily slime that is with sulfuric haze coming out of it. And around on the edges of this lake is 3 rooms that have collapsed into this pool. So they're like almost like theater stages in a way. So like the fourth wall of each has fallen down into the sludge. And in the middle of the sludge is a large pillar. On top of this pillar stands 2 animated skeletons who play the violin.
That's where the music is coming from. Are they always playing? I asked Skuda.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't bother those. We don't bother the dead here.
But they've been here from since you came?
Yes, they have.
Don't you get tired of it? Or do they play different songs?
Oh, you get used to it. That sentence that she said, it cuts off because as you move in, all of a sudden it goes quiet. Like it goes dead quiet in here. Like you can see her mouth move, but you can't hear a word.
Sorry?
Same for you. So
I looked to Margar and I said,
So even your footsteps are mute. You can't hear anything. And she looks around and she seems a bit confused and almost like she's almost like sighing and like says something that you can't hear.
I point to the hatch and I nod.
And she nods and then she looks behind her shoulder and looks across the room and she seems quite annoyed when she realizes that everything is quiet here. Like, but she doesn't seem too like she doesn't seem scared or like surprised, even more annoyed.
I begin to move to open the hatch.
Okay, so you open the hatch. It doesn't make a sound, obviously, and you can see a step ladder that goes down a couple of steps before, the room continues.
I begin climbing down.
Yeah, and Margaret, you follow or?
I follow, yes, frowning, gnashing my teeth that now make no noise, and irritated by everything that's happening.
Of course. So you descend this stepladder, and you come into a room that is that has collapsed into the sludge. So one of these 3 chambers that you saw when you peeked into the crack. You make noise again when you leave when you left that room there, and this room is very hot. It's warm. It's sooty. And you don't know if the warmth comes from the sludge to your right or if it comes from the 2 big forges with the big fires in the back of the room. It seems to be a blacksmith's workshop of some sort, but also a slaughterhouse because everywhere hangs meat on hooks and chains, both animal and human.
I'm taken a little bit aback by this. That is quite gruesome. That is not something that you're not really used to seeing that, are you?
No.
Slaughtered humans like that. Animals, of course, but not humans.
And it's quite a lot, actually. It looks to be like a pretty big operation here, and the floor is it's pretty wet and slick with blood of these chunks of meat.
I begin to think that we might have made a horrible mistake, but well, actions have been taken. I move to make room for Margar as he comes down as well.
I sniff the air, taking the room in. I feel hungry.
Yeah, it's very hot and it smells. It's not a pleasant smell, but yeah, it smells of like more of a blacksmith's workshop than a butchery. It's more like hot metal and things like that.
Is Skuta following us down as well?
Absolutely, yeah. She is making sure that you don't try to backstab her as she descends the steps, but then she follows as well. And she says, so when you talk to Fletcher, just let him speak. Don't anger him. He's the master here, okay?
I nod. Yes.
You can hear the sounds of someone working the forges, and also see, like in between all these chunks of meat, you can see the silhouette of someone walking in the fumes.
I begin moving closer.
And you can see the person that was moving is the one working the forge. He is very big. He's like 7 feet tall and is built like a grizzly bear. He's sooty, bald, and covered in blasphemous tattoos. And he is standing on at the table and is like chopping up some meat or something, like preparing food here. He hasn't noticed you yet. You can see his back.
Master Fletcher, forgive the intrusion, I say, and I try to make my most courteous bow as far as I can remember what I did when I met with the courtiers from King Fatmu's court.
Yeah, he stops what he's doing and turns around, and as he turns around, Skuta, she fills in like, we let these men in. They have something to tell you. They spoke very well. Silence! Who are you? Why have you come?
My name is Kutz, and this is Margar, and we are here for Prince Alden. We are to bring him back to the Shadow King.
The Shadow King sent you, did he?
He did send us, yes, to get the prince. But of course, we will compensate you or help you in any way that we can, and in exchange for the prince's life.
He turns around and he goes for like a rag of cloth that he wipes his hands with, and he says, "I was hoping that the Shadow King would send someone to come for Alden. I have something that needs to be done, something I can't do myself, and something I can't trust my guards here to do."
Anything.
Good. There's a witch living in the cracks in the walls here. I need her dealt with. Bring me her head, and I shall give you Alden.
That is acceptable.
She calls herself Lesty, and I have tried to kill her many times, but she's like a tick stuck underneath my foot. Too small and insignificant to truly die. But maybe you should be on the same level as her.
We will take care of her in exchange for Prince Alden. Of course. I say, I'm very, very afraid as this is happening. I'm pushing back one of those giggles that tend to come at moments like this. And I'm mostly successful.
I, meanwhile, just silently, from behind my mask, stare at this individual.
Do that. The guards will show you where she lives. But don't let her speak. Rip out her tongue before she can utter a word, or she will hex you.
I nod, and I begin backing away, like you would at a court.
Bring me her head, and we shall see about Alden. I would release him, but I can't promise that he is willing to leave.
We understand. That is acceptable. We will come back with the witch's head.
As we leave, I turn and I just curiously look at one of these animal bones on the table, and I reach to sort of just pick it up, and in doing so, clumsily spill a whole bunch of stuff on that table, clattering everywhere like...
He gets very annoyed by this, and what are you doing? Leave me be!
I wanted a toothpick, and I begin picking my teeth with this bone and walking away.
Bring me the witch's head, he yells. Don't come back empty-handed, or I shall have you join these other intruders, and he points at the chunks of meat here.
Well, that went well, Margar.
That went really well, Skura says. Now get back here, and we can talk about how you get to the witch.
Show us to the witch, then. Let's go kill her.
Unless you want to do something else, you go back the same way you came, to the guard room.
Can we bring Thurg with us as well? I think he will be of most use when we try to kill this person.
I think absolutely that both Sator and Igor want to have him join you. I think they didn't seem too pleased about having to sit with him.
He's a bit of an acquired taste.
Okay, so Thurg, you've been sitting there, and you actually you both helped bring Brom up to his feet. He's still sobbing and crying, and you try to lead him to the dungeon cells.
And as we go there, I look around. I want to get into the cells and I want to look around to see what is in there and if there are people and persons. And in the meanwhile, I sort of have this sort of underlying notion given to him that it's for that could cheer him up, because that's what they seem to have accepted. So I do that and get an idea of what is around in these cells.
Okay, but yeah, so they walk towards this iron door and reaches for the handle and opens it up, and you are met with a repulsive stench of death and gore. And you look into the cells that they have, and there are a lot of people in here that has been imprisoned. Probably you can see 8 or 9 naked and starving prisoners. But in the middle of this cell corridor, it's a corridor. On the other end is another door, and there are cells on both sides of the corridor. But in the middle of it, in order to cross the corridor, you have to basically climb over a big pile of dead bodies and body parts that have been just strewn about the floor here.
You did this? You captured all these people? You captured them?
Oh, yes, they've all been caught. They've all foolishly tried to enter here.
Oh. What did they want? What did they look for?
Treasure mostly, or just food or warmth, anything. These pathetic creatures. They didn't have the way of words or the promises that your master had.
Yes, my master. Yes, he's my master. He's my master. He's an old man.
Brom looks at all these corpses and he's even more devastated. Like, oh, look at this, though.
Do you understand? You are lucky to be alive, and you are not being caught. You are not being eaten. You will be strong. You will be eating someone strong. You'll be happy.
Look at all this. We're all gonna end up this way sooner or later.
Right now, he doesn't eat his own gods. Master Fletcher doesn't eat his own gods. You will be strong instead, perhaps. You must trust in him. I try to look around. Is there anything else of value? Any items or anything? Is it just lots of people? Is there any? Do we know what the prince actually looks like?
All that you know is he is like in his 20s, maybe. So he's not a child. He's in his 20s. He is quite a large man, with access to lots of fine foods, and apparently he's quite obnoxious.
Do I see anything that looks like
No,
this?
quite the opposite. No, all these are very starved.
Starved,
poor.
Thin, gaunt, and just basically in their small clothes.
Yeah, if any, yeah. But they are all raving and screaming, and when you open, they all like reach for you with their claw-like hands and like just shout like, "Oh, release us! Break us free!" Oh.
Shh, you must be quiet. I can talk to you. And I look around the room as I talk, and do I see any of this gas that was mentioned, or any cracks or anything?
Nothing like
at
that
all?
in here.
See, you can look at them, Brom, and you can see how lucky you are. You're not one of them. You're not one of them. See how lucky you are. And then I sort of lose interest in this room, and it's the wrong kind of stink.
What do you have on you? Do you have any weapons or anything?
So I'll have the dagger and the sword and my bear trap and everything. I mean, I basically have that and my shield. I carry all this around my pack. It's almost like it's a part of me, as I go about.
Right, and as you are viewing this horrid scene, to the tones of Brom's sobbing and wailing and crying, your companions return. Coming from the dining hall, you guys pass this old man who sits there, and you can see that the 3 guards and Thurg is standing in the guard room and looking at these prisoners, and yeah, you return.
All of you, we're going to kill a witch. Or you will show us the way and assist us. Come, Ferg.
Yes, I'll come. And I take out a crumpled little flower and I give it to Brom. Yes, here, take a nice flower, take it.
He's looking up from his crying, and he looks at you, and he looks at the flower, and he just buries his face into his hands. So like, no, it's pointless, all of it, no.
And I put the flower on his head as he sits there and buries his hand. Yes, now I will go now, and I go to the others.
And Skura, the woman with a crossbow, she says, "No, that was not part of the deal. We will not help you. We will lead you to the tunnel where she lives. But you'll have to go in there yourself."
Ah, so all of you are cowards. I see.
Don't call me a coward. We're guards. We have another duty here.
Who attacks your dying fort? This place is accursed. No one comes here other than you.
Well, you came here, didn't you?
I was sent here because you were here.
We want to go. We will go. Who are we going to?
Remember what I told you. You can all be saved, but we have to be able to get the prince first. Otherwise, I cannot save you. If it's just the three of us, we might not return alive. If you join us, much better opportunities for all of us to be able to go to the Shimmering Fields and to be saved.
We will lead you to the tunnel, and we can help you in any way we can, but we will not join you in there. No, absolutely not. I'm sorry. You'll have to go in there yourself, but up until that point, we are by your side.
Very well. Come, let us go.
It is just down here, down the stairs, and if you follow us, we'll show you. And they lead you down these stairs, and you enter a room with chains hanging from the ceiling, which you could see from the guard room. You can see the top of this room. So it's a dimly lit chamber. There is an archway directly to your left that leads into a room bordering the sludge here, and there's another door as well that doesn't seem to have a handle in this room. And you all pass this. You go as a group, and you pass this room and enter this. You enter into this giant cave with the sludge in it to your left. And now you all, now also Thurg, you can see this sludge with a pillar with the skeletons playing and everything. The shore, or the room that you stand in now, that is kind of like a shore to this sludge because it has collapsed into it. It has the wall that is opposed to the lake is adorned with gemstones, like it's embedded in the cave wall. And you can also see a crawl space, like a small, narrow, low tunnel that leads into the other wall.
And it looks too small for someone like Fletcher to
absolutely yes
get through. So this is what he needs us for.
It's one of those where you have to like lay on your stomach and basically like move like a worm to squeeze through the rock.
Ferg, you're up.
Yes, I am up. And I see the skeletons, and I feel almost socially exhausted because I never get to talk to so many people in one day as I have now. I want to say hello to them too, but I'm too tired. So I take all my things and I make a bundle of them, and I tie the bundle to my back foot so I can crawl through without having anything on my back anymore. I'll drag it behind me.
Perfect.
And then I will take my long slim frame and my pointy long ears. I will take them in my hands and I will crawl in using my elbows and pushing with my feet.
The other guys, do you join, or do you let Thurg do his thing and see if he returns?
I begin following after. I don't want to leave him by himself. There's only three of us, and we have to stick together. And I motion to Margar as well. I look at Margar. Will Margar fit through as well?
He will have more trouble. He will fit through, but he can't. I think, Margar, you wear chainmail, right? Mail armor.
Mail armor, yes.
Yeah, I think you'd have to remove that in order to squeeze through.
I'll begin removing my armor, revealing my rags underneath, and starting to sort of pack it into the sack so I can carry it with me, but while I go through. I will also lean down to my skull, looking at the guards, I imagine.
They are standing.
Are they just sort of watching us go?
Yeah, they are. They're making sure that you get to the right tunnel. There's only one.
Yes. Yes, I mutter to the skull. Mother, Master Fletcher and his guards, how will we be able to defeat them when they turn on us?
But you can't. They will all kill you if you do this.
What do we do, Mother?
You listen closely to the skull, but it doesn't seem to reply. There's only silence from your mother.
I kind of pat the skull a little, put it in the sack, and begin following last, carrying my armor and all the equipment with us in one hand and kind of making my way with the other.
From the room that you were in, you could also see across the sludge. You could see into the room where Fletcher was, so you could spot like through the haze above the sludge. You could see his meat hooks and his forges and everything. So he could possibly see you as well doing this. Thurg, you begin crawling into this tunnel, and for a person of your slim frame, it's not that bad actually. As you go into this tunnel, you immediately sense that there's almost like a chimney that's ascending in the ceiling of the tunnel, and the tunnel also continues forward. But you could possibly like stand in here.
Yeah. I do that. I stand up and I see. Can I? Is it completely dark or?
It is completely dark in here. Yeah, the only light is coming from where you came from.
Well, I feel my way around, and do I detect as wind, or how do I detect that there's nothing above me? I just with my hands, perhaps when I.
No, so when you squeeze through, when you crawl here, you suddenly feel that it's getting more spacious.
Yeah. Well, can I climb upwards? Can I climb upwards through?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you don't have to roll for that because it's not really a stressful situation or anything. So you can just press against the walls and you climb up. And it's not very tall. It's just slightly taller than you are, and you reach the ceiling here, like a flat stone probably ceiling.
So it's like just a tunnel upwards that has an end to it?
Exactly.
I try to feel around. Is there anything else there? Or is it just that?
You feel around and you feel on the ceiling here. You can actually sense like a small crack, like a very linear crack that goes from one end to the other here.
Cracks. The gas comes from the cracks and make him go mad. But I cannot see into it.
No, it's very narrow and very...
I get a bad feeling from that, and I try to get myself down again so I can continue through this tunnel that we're crawling.
Maybe cuts have followed you now, so you almost land on him when you go down here.
Oh, yes, I have followed.
Yeah.
Sorry?
So you feel a pair of feet on top of your head.
I stop. You are down there now. There is something up there. There is like a tunnel upwards, but it stops. There's a crack up here. There's a crack. There's a crack.
Can we get through?
No, it's tiny. It's too tiny. We need to go back, and you can go forward. Do you want me to go forward? I want you to go forward.
Oh, all right. I begin moving backwards then.
And I miss my mother.
Eventually, you all make it through the tunnel, and you all come unharmed to the other end, with your equipments following. And on the other end of this tunnel is, surprisingly enough, what seems to be a greenhouse. Like you see trees and you see bushes, and it's all sorts of plants in here. It's the air is hot and stuffy, but quite pleasant actually. It smells sweet in here.
Is it light?
It is. Yeah. There's actually you can see on the walls in between the foliage, you can see the walls are actually very sooty windows where you can see the moonlight come from. And
look, as you come in, Kutz, look, there's a garden. The garden.
It is.
Oh, Kutz, it's a garden.
It's beautiful. But this is where the witch is.
Much nicer than the dungeon. I think it is much nicer. Are there any insects in here?
yeah, there's some bugs flying around. There's some of those butterflies that you saw earlier in the beginning here as well.
I'll try to catch some butterflies to eat them.
As you're doing that, I kind of just lightly come up behind you, grab you, gently, although gentle for me is probably a bit rough, and I say, "Frg, butterfly, later, find witch."
You must not touch me this way, Margaret. You must not touch me like that. No.
Touch you how I please.
Now, both of you, we must kill the witch now. When we see her, you will attack. Do you understand? That way leads the path to salvation. You understand?
And then we'll find out Alden. They will give us Alden.
Yes.
They'll give us the prince.
Yes. We just need to kill the witch. And then Shimmering Fields.
I start making myself smaller, and I put the pack untied from my foot. It's been there while I was sort of rustling about trying to catch butterflies, and I put it back on my back, and I start moving among the bushes and the trees, skulking about, trying to keep myself hidden as we move forward.
Okay, and you also see that there is a small path that leads further in here, in between all the palms and the cacti and the flowers and the bushes and everything here. And there are oil lamps hanging from chains in the ceiling, so it's pretty good visibility in here as well. But okay, so you Thurg, you make yourself hidden. It's quite easy. It's not. I mean, you're not really meant to hide in these environments, but you're good at hiding nonetheless. So.
Yes. So I'm like touching the ground and trying to dig in it and trying everything, just to see what's good as I move forward, and I feel it with my toes, sort of hard and gnarly.
Right, and what do you others do?
I'm looking for this witch, and staying behind Margar, and knowing, of course, that this is a very dangerous place.
Okay, so Margar and Katz, you are actually moving in here. You're walking on it.
Yes, I begin moving forwards, while I will try and avoid attention. After putting my armor back on, that is. I am not skilled at such things, and so definitely will clank and make noise.
I mean, if you want, you could try to roll an agility to see if you manage to be stealthy.
Why don't we give it a go? So, as a clumsy individual, the test is 2 higher than normal.
It is, yeah. And also, because you have a mail armor, it's additional 2.
So it is 4
It is, yeah.
harder than normal.
Yes.
I roll a 15.
Okay. So you generally want to roll a 12, so that would be a very narrow failure, though, since it was 16 now. But you try to be stealthy. It's a bit hard, but you move forward in, and the path leads to a camp in here. A small, simple camp. There's 2 tents and a small campfire with some logs, and there sits a woman, actually. Long dark hair. She's dressed in a gunny sack with armholes. Very simple. And she sits there reading a book. And when you approach, she looks up to you and she says, "Oh, visitors. Welcome. It's not every day that one is graced by the presence of new souls.
Now,
come, welcome to my humble greenhouse. Join me by the fire."
I will slowly begin moving forward and sort of go to the fire and get very close and sort of bow clumsily to this woman and say nothing.
And I am keeping to the side, so I'm skulking around the whole thing, trying to see what I can see.
Yeah, you can see this whole scene taking place. You see Margar and Cuts approaching this woman. Margar is clumsily bowing. You can also see that the camp consists of 2 very small tents, and there seems to be movement within both of these tents, so there's more people here. And there are some pots and pans, and there's a small table with like some scrolls and different paraphernalia here. But
does she look like a witch?
I mean, anyone could be a witch, I suppose. She looks quite nice, actually. I mean, she looks friendly.
I tried to get as they approach slowly. I tried to get an idea what's in the tents.
Okay. But you, Margar and Cuts, she beckons you to sit by her fire, and I don't get many visitors here. We rarely have anyone come through. I mean, Fletcher's oaths make sure of that.
And I move to sit down. I try to look as unthreatening as possible, and as I do so, I just try to whisper to Margar, "Kill her now, please." And I go to sit down.
I kind of give you this look, pausing for a moment, and you kind of see me just sort of drum my fingers against my skull, and I very quickly just sort of mutter to it, sort of looking straight at this woman and then at the skull. And this conversation probably mainly happens in my head. Mother, the witch seems less irritating than the man. Would she help us kill him?
You have your chance now to kill the witch, or a chance later to kill the man. One of them must die.
Witch.
Do you say this, or do you...
I say witch.
What do you call
Master. Fletcher wishes you to die.
She sits up, she gets a bit stressed by this, and like trying to stand up. Are you one of Fletcher's men?
No. But he has sent us to kill you.
Of course he has. He hates me with everything. I mean, he's a beast. Fletcher is an animal. He doesn't care for the finer things in this life. He doesn't see beyond the mere the physical.
And I stand and again just sort of give Kurtz an eye and say, Kurtz, speak. Use your words. What can she offer?
She can offer us her death. Margar Thurg, kill the witch. And I speak the truth, and I will enable anyone who moves to attack her to have a lowered difficulty. Kill her.
Before you get the chance to, we will roll initiative and everything, but the thing she will do is she will just yell, "Hosts, help me!" And you can roll an initiative if you wish to attack. It's just a d6, and if it's high, you go first. If it's low, she goes first.
That's a 4.
That's a 4, so you go first.
And I'm speaking the truth. I'm trying to motivate my fighter, my bodyguard, as I hope he is anyways, to kill this nice woman so that we can be saved.
And this is the second time that you used this today, so it's the last.
I've maybe close to her.
You're actually closer now to the tents, and you sense a lot of more motion in the tents now. Like it seems as if whoever is in the tents responded quickly to her call and is moving to go outside the tent.
And then I must hurry to kill the witch before they come. So I have my sword in hand and I rush towards her to kill the witch.
You will be able to do an attack first. I think Margar was closer though, so he'll do his first.
I was indeed. In these seconds, my eyes will go to these tents. What sort of people do I think are coming out of the tents? Do I have time to react?
You don't see anyone coming out. You just see motion in the fabric of the tents. But they're small tents, mind you, so they can't fit that many.
I feel this weird presence come upon my mind at the command, and it fills me with anger. But I will draw my sword and shove it into her belly.
Ooh. Go right ahead. Give it a try.
So that's an 18.
Oof, that is very much a hit, yeah.
1 damage.
Because Cuts was actually telegraphing your intentions quite clearly. She was a bit prepared for this. So you lunge at her with your sword, but she managed to take a step back. So you only make a small cut on her clothes, basically. So she isn't even harmed by this. I mean, you do 1 damage, so her your balance is a bit damaged, but you don't draw blood. And she yells, and she's now standing up. Thurg, did you want to run towards her?
Yes, I approach from the other side, and I try to catch her before she has time to see.
Yeah, she's actually approaching you. It's like she's backing away from Margar, shows she's moving towards you now, but she hasn't spotted you yet.
Yes, that's the time. And I lunge towards her with my sword. 16.
16, that is a hit, absolutely. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Right. 4.
She is not prepared that it's a third person here. So she tries to move away from this quite intimidating masked slayer, and instead she is met with the pointy edge, the pointy end of your sword that you basically jab through her back. So you guys, Cuts and Margar, you just see her backing away, and all of a sudden comes a sword out of her stomach, and you see Thurg standing there with this maniac face.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, old woman.
She lets out a short scream before she slumps down dead on the ground.
And I begin rushing up to her to begin cutting off her head, because that's what we need to do now.
And I turn to look at the tents, getting my weapon ready.
Cuts, did you want to do anything else than your Speaker of Truth thing?
No, I have dumped my weapon already, so I was content to keep back. Now, if she has gone down, then I wish to go and begin cutting off the head, basically.
Okay, so you just dive down onto her corpse now.
I see you rushing forwards to the dead woman. I say, hey, take this. Here, there's a dagger for you.
We do this together, yes. And we begin cutting off the head of the...
Right. You realize as you're doing it that she wasn't really dead. She was almost dead, but as you continue, she most certainly passes away.
I pull at her hair as he's cutting the throat so I can sever the head more easily.
As you do this, that's very helpful of you. That's like holding someone's hair when they're throwing up.
Yes.
As you do this, the tents are opened up, and out comes 3 in total young men dressed in rags, and they seem very agitated and very distraught when they see what you're doing to their dear Leslie. And they're holding long knives. They're holding long, curved knives. Why not?
As they start coming out, I will scream at the top of my voice, a very harsh, horrific scream with my mask. Flee, you fools!
They will have the opportunity to do one action, though, because it's on their initiative. I understand what you want to do. You want to use your mask to strike fear into them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But they rush towards Thurg and Cuts, who are sitting down there and removing the head. And I will allow each of you to do a agility test to avoid their curved daggers.
18.
That is a success. So you easily dodge away when they come for you.
Is the head loose?
Almost.
I roll a 1, and I have -1, so I guess that's a 0.
That is not only a failure, that is a critical failure. That is a fumble.
Yes. I see them. I don't see anything. I pull eagerly at the head and say, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the adventure Rotblack Sludge for MÖRK BORG. Our Gamemaster was Johan Nohr, who is one of the 2 creators behind the game. MÖRK BORG is created by Ockult Örtmästare Games and Stockholm Kartell and is published by Free League Publishing. The music was created by Nohr and is from the album HDK40 MÖRK BORG and was used with permission from their label Heimat der Katastrophe. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, and David for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you for listening, and see you soon, again.